We recently got 2 horses. My younger daughter, a young teen, wanted them as she's been learning to ride. My older daughter, nearly adult, was against them. She's much more princessy and didn't want to deal with the mess and chores that come with horses. But we told her it wouldn't be something she'd have to deal with and that her younger sister promised to take care of all of it. Well, recently the older daughter has been disrespectful at home and staying out too late, and her grades have been slipping. We warned her to shape up, but last week when we heard that she'd been needlessly insulting to her younger sister while I was out running errands, I told her that she'd be cleaning out the stable each day for the next week as punishment, and that her sister would get a break. She got upset and offended and said we promised she'd never have to go in there or scoop horse poop. I said I promised that it wouldn't be one of your chores, of course, but obviously punishment is supposed to be something outside of your normal chores and something you won't like, and I thought it was perfectly fair here. She's been doing it for 3 days now, but seems very resentful of our broken promise, acting very disgusted, and keeps begging to get out of the rest of it. But I said I thought it was fair, and she was overreacting. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. You bought 2 horses for your younger daughter and promised the older daughter she wouldn't have to be involved in their care. You broke your promises. There were plenty of adequate and appropriate punishments available you could have given your daughter for staying out late and letting her grades slip. Are you deliberately trying to stir up resentment between the 2 sisters because this is how you get resentment between 2 sisters? Exactly, horses are a pretty big gift. Does your oldest child get the same treatment as your youngest child? It could be resentment building up and causing her to act out. And being forced to take care of her sister's huge gift will only worsen the resentment. I was wondering the same. Horses are a huge gift. After the purchase price, there's still upkeep, vet bills, farriers, tack and food, and not just 1 horse, but 2. My child used to ride, and even leasing a horse cost a small fortune, but buying 2? OP, have you given the older daughter a comparable gift? This whole story reeks of favoritism. I bet the older one hasn't got anything but increased chores, so the precious, perfect golden child doesn't have to do a thing. And I need more information about who said she'd been needlessly insulting to her younger sister. Was it the younger sister tattling? And what is needlessly insulting? Is there such a thing as needfully insulting? And isn't that part of sibling squabbles, being needlessly insulting? And I'm sorry should suffice for that indiscretion in my honest opinion. Your oldest daughter isn't the golden child, obviously, so you want her to be Cinderella. We have an important family party in 3 weeks. An engagement party for my son's teen cousin Rachel, 28 female. Anyway, my son wants to go to the wedding in this brightly coloured crop top and a denim skirt from Shine. He said that it's what he likes and he's got a newfound interest in fashion and finds men's fashion dull. I told him no, I'm not buying him a $40 plus crop top and $60 plus denim skirt, and he can't wear that to an engagement party, but he said it's what he feels comfortable in. I'm more worried as a mom about negative attention and him taking attention away from his cousin. So I told my son, there's a time and place for everything, but your cousin's engagement party is not it, and then said we would discuss his newfound interest in fashion at another time. It's a semi-formal party in terms of dress, a party with a buffet, music, soft drinks, soda, hoagies, etc. He's a nice guy, but I'm a bit concerned about this. I haven't anything against cross-dressing or my son's interest, but I worried that he's chosen the most inopportune occasion to display this flamboyance. I love my son for who he is, but am I the idiot for telling him no, it's not right to wear this at the family party? Not the idiot. I'm all for exploration and expression, but I think you're right about the time and place explanation and taking attention away from the cousin. If he'd been dressing like this for years and the family was aware, then maybe, but someone else's milestone event is not the place to start exploring your gender-bending risque side. Hopefully there's a compromise, maybe some funky jewelry or a slightly more modest gender-neutral outfit, and the crop top as a gift to wear later. I love the idea of supporting him by gifting an outfit or item for general wearing and negotiating the best compromise on what he can wear to this event, which speaks to his style without also not upstaging his cousin's day. OP, non-binary formal wear is having a real moment. There are a lot of companies and designers putting out upscale formal wear for a lot of bodies. Excuse me, no denim skirt will cost $60 from Shine. I'm like, I can't get over the over-exaggeration. Also, to start exploring your expensive gender-bending risque side, that's over $100 for 2 items, rather than grabbing a $10 crop top and a $20 denim skirt from Amazon or something. Additionally, if there's a dress code, everyone is expected to follow it. A crop top and jean skirt will not meet the dress code. Take your kid out shopping. He doesn't have to get men's clothes, but he does need to get clothes that fit the dress code. If he won't comply, he doesn't get to go. My wife and I have 3 children. My parents raised 5 kids, and my dad would call us our names, nicknames, random names he thought we had, boy, girl, son, daughter, or hey you. When we had our kids, I did the same. Until my oldest, my daughter, brought it up at a meeting with her counsellor that it made her feel bad that I called her names like that. So I stopped. I talked to my sons and they were both fine with it. Sometimes when I call out boy, they yell back, me boy or him boy. But since that meeting, I've never referred to my daughter by anything other than her name. Other than that, our relationship hasn't changed. I accepted that she didn't want to be treated a certain way. Last summer, we had a family reunion. My parents were the guests of honour since it was also their 50th anniversary. We live across the country, so it was the first time that my wife and kids were around so much of my family at once. It was a great time and all my relatives were yelling for their kids constantly, and my daughter was the only one that was being called by name. No one made a big deal about it or anything. Last week I was asked to meet with her counsellor again. It turns out she feels excluded by my family because they don't call her girl or hey you. She's mad at me for having fun nicknames for her brothers but only calling her by her name. I asked if she remembered why that started. She said I embarrassed her in front of her friends by calling her girl, and that she'd asked that I call her by her name. So now I need clarification. She had no problem being called by her name for over a year. Now that she's seen that's how my family is, which she knew because we gathered together in smaller groups, she wants to be called nicknames and stuff again, which is fine. So I asked if she wanted me to limit her nicknames to private family time. For example, when I take them to the movies, I will call them by their name, boy number 1 and hey you, which was something she'd brought up as rude before. She said I was cherry-picking situations that I should just know. I don't, since I can't read her mind. She's a mid-teen, her brothers are young teens. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, she's a teenager and sometimes they will argue with themselves via you as a proxy. I'm actually impressed that you honoured her wishes and asked your family to do the same. Just keep trying, she's still determining what she wants. So switch back and forth and ask her to let you know when it's embarrassing. Hopefully, you both figure out quickly what she actually wants. It sounds like she was embarrassed in front of her friends, maybe someone said something, so she asked you to stop, so you did. But then, seeing that the rest of the family does it, she realises she wants to be included. You're a good dad for listening and changing for her. My dad would have said, tough, deal with it, and done exactly as he pleased. Oof, teenage girls change their minds so quickly, don't they? This seems like a difficult situation to navigate, and you're doing the best you can. My 37 male sister, 29, is getting married in June. I have 2 daughters, one neurotypical pre-tween and one high-needs non-verbal autistic daughter, younger. My sister made a rule about her wedding with no kids aged 5 and under, which I think was a polite way of excluding my disabled child. My wife or I would have immediately taken her outside if she had a meltdown. As my nephew, also neurotypical, just made the cut and will get to go, there are only 2 other children under 5 in the family with no known disabilities yet. I understand her wedding is her choice, but I'm not okay with including one of my daughters but not the other. The problem is my older daughter really wanted to go. She's a real girly girl who loves pretty dresses, princesses, fairies, and yes, brides too. She was excited getting to see her aunt in a bridal gown. The last wedding she went to, she was too young to remember. Since it's my sister, I don't feel right missing her wedding, so we're going without the girls and my in-laws will watch them that night. She's upset she doesn't get to go and my sister says I'm fostering resentment, but I think I'm teaching my daughter it's not okay to exclude family due to a disability. The way I see it is my sister who created this situation, not me. Am I the idiot? You're reading too much into this because you're sensitive about your kid. However, it sounds like Sis made a pretty American standard wedding request for no smaller kids because kids under 5 are notorious for being disruptive, which by your own admission is likely to happen with your daughter. I understand that you must feel incredibly defensive on your daughter's behalf, but your sister isn't discriminating against your child, who you admit is likely to have a meltdown during a significant event. She is trying to save everyone, including your special needs daughter, from an incredibly uncomfortable afternoon. You are the idiot. Learn to accept boundaries graciously and teach the same to your kids. It's an essential life skill. Thank you for saying this. It's perfectly okay for hosts to decide not to tempt fate in such a situation. OP says they would take the daughter outside when they need to, but that ignores the initial disruption, time taken to do so, etc. It's too easy to guilt couples for thinking of all guests or even just wanting a smooth ceremony and reception by playing the family card, exclusion card. OP needs to accept that there will naturally be difficulties ahead and situations their daughter will not be comfortable in. Let's not forget that OP isn't teaching his older daughter that it's not okay to exclude disabled family, and actually teaching her that when your disabled sibling can't do things because of very real and reasonable limitations, we're going to punish you for it too. And OP is going to drive a wedge between his daughters and between his oldest and himself. Precisely. OP, you are the idiot, and your older, neurotypical daughter is going to realize more and more as she gets older that you favor your younger daughter because of her issues. She's going to grow more and more resentful as you prevent her from living her life to appease her younger sister. It's a common trap families with a child with issues fall into. Look for it and do better. We all know where this will end in 20 to 30 years. Eldest daughter, we're getting older and we can't take care of sibling anymore, so you need to step up and take responsibility. No? What do you mean no? What do you mean she ruined every event in your life? The OP means well, but they need some perspective. Talk to someone professional about navigating these murky waters before they come to my predicted conclusion. A co-worker started to develop feelings a month into knowing me. Let's call him Gray. It may not be something too deep, so I was flattered. I told him I wasn't interested since I'd just gotten out of a long relationship. A month after this rejection, Gray asked me to be his girlfriend. Again, I rejected it. He said it was cool, but he'd appreciate it if I didn't cut him off. I didn't, as he was a nice friend to have. I had to reiterate to him more than once after this that there was no chance I was reciprocating the feelings at all. One day, one of my closer co-workers let me know that Gray would ask her what my plans for the day were, and if I had any, he'd ask where I'd be going and who I'd be with. He'd also ask her if I was hanging around any other male co-workers. One time, when we were out for lunch with the team, our boss gave us the rest of the day off. That meant we'd be free to go home or hang out after lunch. I told everyone I'd be off home as I was too tired. He offered to bring me home and I declined. He snapped and started almost begging me to bring me home, but I just kept declining. He then said, "Fine, let me book you a taxi home," and proceeded to type my address correctly when I knew for a fact I never gave him my address. I was majorly uncomfortable at this point. He's done weirder things over the past year, stalking my family on social media, memorizing usernames of my close friends on Instagram. He even found an old account I wasn't using anymore, shipping products he bought online directly to my address, even getting in a taxi and followed me home. When I confronted him about it, he said he just wanted to ensure I was safe. Last week, while preparing to go home, it started to rain, so he insisted on bringing me home on his motorcycle. He followed me around the office saying, "Please let me bring you home." We were around other co-workers, but I snapped at him and told him to screw off and leave me alone in a relatively high voice. A co-worker, who was aware of the stories I told above, overheard and told me I didn't have to react that way. I talked to a non-co-worker friend about it, and he told me this might be Gray's way of winning me over. Now I'm worried that I'm just viewing him as annoying and stalkerish because I didn't reciprocate the feelings and went off on him when he was being kind. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I'd also say report him to HR. Stay away from him. He thinks he's Superman. See what he has on? That's not a cape. That's a friggin' red flag. Also, screw that idiot co-worker who told you not to react that way. They obviously don't understand or care about your situation if they know the stories and expect you to always be calm. Majorly angry at that scene extra. Anyways, report him. Tell your family about him so they can be aware and beware of him and his presence. Get a dog if you don't have one. Keep some self-defense stuff. This could escalate as time goes by. Do not give him a chance. This, OP, you're being stalked. Go to HR. Let them know you only want him to talk to you about work. He is not to offer you a ride home. If you see him follow you home or near your house, you will get a restraining order. Tell them if the company cannot handle him, you're going to the police. And before you go to HR, I would write down everything that's happened, even if you don't remember the dates. Then, I'd make a copy for them and for you. The most concerning part of this story is that he knows your address, but you never told him. Following you home is unacceptable and grounds for a restraining order in some jurisdictions. I'm sure he thinks he's winning you over, but that doesn't make it okay. This is way over the line, not just some awkward workplace flirting. Oh, I doubt he thinks he's winning her over. At this point, it's just pressure to get her to break and give in while making that effort to be seen as having good intentions. The scene with the taxi was a power move. I know where you live and I need to illustrate that you don't get your own choice here. Either way, I know you're home. OP, you're in a very dangerous situation. You need to make HR aware and start documenting these instances so you have evidence to take to the police. This is going to get much, much worse before it gets better. Update: I've told my co-worker, the one he asked about my plans, if she would support me in bringing this to HR, but it turns out she's already kind of tipped them off on his behaviour. By this I mean she's mentioned it vaguely to a friend from HR because she didn't want to get ahead of me, and HR said the complaint had to come from me for them to be able to do something about it, so she would be supporting me in filing a complaint. Thank you all for your concern and for pulling me out of downplaying the situation.